Alright YouTube, for today's how-to video I'm going to show you how to install a diaphragm pressure assisted toilet. This one is made by American Standard and this is where I'll be installing it. Right now I have cleaned off the flange really well and got the area cleaned up around it really well. The floor is done in here. It may not look like that, but this is a dugout for a ballpark, so that's not nothing real major. Alright, first things first, you're going to set your bolts. Now you always want to make sure your bolts are directly across from each other in the center of the pipe. Move this wax ring for a second just to get it out of the way with. Now some sets don't come with the extra bolts to bolt the don't come with the extra nuts to bolt to the toilet, but this set does. It's a pretty good one. Alright, once we get those set on there where they're nice and directly across from each other in a line, like I'll show y'all that, let y'all get a little bit of a closer view. You can see how they're directly across from each other. Alright, now you're going to set your ring like so. You take your toilet. Now when you set your toilet, you want to make sure that you got it going straight down. You don't want to lean it in or have it lean when you're going. You don't want to crush that wax ring. You want to make sure you get both of the bolts lined up and you set it straight down. That way you don't have no leaks. So wiggle it down, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Alright, now, wrong. I'm skipping a step, y'all. You got these plastic caps that come with the toilet, and you got to put this on first. The first washer you do, it's got labeled on it which side goes up. So this is the side that's going to go up right here, like this. Same to the other side. Now this is the part that gets tricky when you gotta tighten it. Alright, now this is the part you got to be extremely careful on because you don't want to over-tighten it. You don't want to over-tighten it and risk cracking the toilet because you can break this porcelain. It's only porcelain. Alright, when you got that done, the toilet's all nice and secure. That part's over. Now we start working on the flush. Now we start working on the flush valve. That's up here. in order to know where to cut this pipe at up here, I have to measure this. I measured this, and my measurement's gonna be 6 1/4. So what I do from that is I go back 1 1/4 from that measurement. I go back 1 1/4. So if it's at 6 1/4, then right now I'm gonna be at 5 inches is where I do my mark at on the wall. From off the wall on this pipe, I put it at 5 inches, and then I cut this pipe. Now there is a little bit of water pressure still on this. The water's off, but there's a little bit of water pressure still on this. Usually when I have a bucket to catch it, because of where I'm at right now, I don't really need a bucket. I'm in the dugout, so it's not like it really matters. Let that little bit drain on out. Good position of the toilet. Alright, for this next step, I'm gonna have to pause y'all. So I gotta go run and get some sandpaper because I forgot to get sandpaper this morning, which is a dumb mistake on my fault because I know I need it if I'm gonna be doing copper. You always gotta clean your copper. So I'll be back with y'all in a few moments. Alright, here we go. I'm back with y'all. I had to get that sandpaper, like I said, to clean that pipe with. It's got to be clean. Won't take solder. Make sure y'all get a good view. Everything I do. Make sure you get that sucker real good, nice and clean. You go in, you get this adapter. Comes with the flush valve. Flux. Rector seal. Good stuff. Get my cannon all set up right now. Is what I'm doing is getting my torch set up. Now's the fun part. Get to burn something. Get to burn something, baby. Oh yeah. I want to get this hot enough to steam the excess water off. coming out, steaming. That way it tastes the solid. You take it. Always taking both a little bit on the end, make sure I got him sealed. There you have it. He's on. Knock off any little titty you got on the bottom because you got to slide this sleeve over it. And we'll take this and you want to have this about to the front of this big part right here. So that you're gonna mark it there, so that's where you cut it at. Get my marker out right here. Take it, just hold it up there. Mark it right at that mark. That's where you cut it at. What I'm using is a bandsaw, so make sure I clean off all of the birds with the file. Gotta get the escutcheon. Escutcheon goes on this like so. We take this, slide it on here. Alright? That part's done, now you're working with threads. So, got my Teflon tape. This one's Blue Monster, very good brand. I love it. Stick, it's good. You don't got to use as much. Make sure you put that on there real nice. And again, with Rector-Seal, I usually like to use Rector-Seal T2 Teflon pipe dope, but this is just as good, a little bit more messy, but just as good. You know, I got to use what I can get here. You know, I'm working underneath somebody else here. Alright, now it's time for you to stop. When you put this on, you want to make sure it's coming directly out to the side. And you always want to use a spud wrench. You never use anything with teeth on this chrome. I always want to use a spud wrench. Very important that you don't go on this chrome with no teeth. You will mess it up and you'll mess up the job. Just it right. You want to make sure you get this tight now, because you don't want this to leak. Straight to the side. Put it out, clean that off. Alright, that part is done. Alright, now, for this next part, I'm going to want to take a measurement. Let me get my tape ready. Take this apart. This bolt threads up, slides up, goes on the bottom of here. And this is your actual flush valve. This is called your spud. Now, with this, I'm gonna measure from the top of my toilet to the center of this. And what I have is 10.5 inches. And what I do here is, I measure on this from the center of this down 10.5 inches. I make my mark and I cut. Like that. And you cut. And now I go cut. And again, make sure you get all of the burrs cleaned off and get this really nice. You got smooth edges on it. You don't want jagged pieces going in your flush valve, or you don't want jagged pieces cutting up the rubber. Really best to just use tubing cutters, but kind of in a crunch for time. This one's gone. Alright, once you got all this ready, you're going to take this part out. You got two things that come with this. This is a friction washer and your actual washer. You want to make sure the friction washer is on the nut. So you make sure it's like that, facing up towards the nut, just like that. Slide this on here like so. Slide this on here like so. All right. Get your thread started. Get everything all tight. Get everything all tight. And once you've done that, you've successfully installed a toilet with a diaphragm flush valve. I hope this was helpful. If you find this video to be helpful, like and subscribe. Hit that smash button for me, please. Y'all have a wonderful day now, y'all.